Shigeru Miyamoto once said, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is bad forever." On paper, this statement is outdated. Valorant, Apex, Minecraft, Ultimate, Golden, League, Three Houses, Hollow Knight. You get it. If you have an internet connection and a game can be updated, it can be fixed and become better. But if a game is released in a buggy, unfinished state, the community will remember it for being in a buggy, unfinished state. In an interview with the J-Wits, Miyamoto said, "I didn't mean a bad game is always bad. What I meant to say is if you release a game in a bad state, you will always regret it." And this is absolutely correct. Fallout 76, Sea of Thieves, No Man's Sky. Although these games may be decent and maybe even good today, at their release, they performed abysmally. They will never be able to escape that 67, 52, and 71 Metacritic scores. Off the top of my head, there are 3 games I can remember that have had rushed or at least very quick developments that have been well received within the gaming community. Those 3 being the original Majora's Mask for the N64, Melee for the GameCube, and the original Persona 4 on the PS2. But these games are few and far between. Most of the time, if a game has a rushed development, it will be filled with problems. At the time of this recording, Cyberpunk 2077 had been one of the most, if not the most hyped game of all time. Expectations were astronomically high, but when the game was released, it was in a very buggy state, and ran very poorly on last generation hardware. Although it does have a mid-80 Metacritic score on the PC version, the PS4 and Xbox One versions were obliterated with its 55 and 56 scores respectively. Despite its delays, despite the terrible crunching on its employees, it still came out as a glitch fest. If CD Projekt Red delayed the game again, obviously, people would be disappointed in the short run. I mean, they delayed the game 3 times already. But in the long run, it would be worth it. You could have more time to refine your game. Your game could be less buggy, and you don't have to overwork your employees. Cyberpunk may be considered a good game in the future, but it will never be considered a great one due to this release. This is part of the reason why I like Nintendo. As much as I hate corporate Nintendo, I adore developer Nintendo. Every major game they release, Galaxy, Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Smash, you know that these games are going to be outstanding because Nintendo is one of the few developers that put care into their major titles. I did say before that Majora's Mask and Melee had quick development times, but they still ensured to put in quality content into each of those games. Otherwise, fans wouldn't like those games. Yes, you are going to get mediocre games here and there, but for the heavy hitters, I and many others trust them. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, considered one of the greatest games of the 2010s and maybe even all time, had an original release date of 2015. It was then delayed to 2016 because the team needed more time. Then, it was delayed again to 2017, so it could be a launch title for the Nintendo Switch. It won Game of the Year.
Game of the Year goes to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
This is Nintendo's
E3 2017. Nintendo announced that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be developed by Bandai Namco. But when they saw that development wasn't reaching their quality standards, they completely restarted development with another studio, Retro, the studio that developed the previous 3 Metroid Prime games. Animal Crossing New Horizons was planned to be released in 2019, but was delayed to 2020. It was nominated for Game of the Year. What about a non-Nintendo game? Persona 5 by Atlus. P5 was released in 2016 in Japan, and 2017 worldwide. Its original release date was winter 2014. But it was worth it. The game was really well received by the general gaming community, and was also nominated for Game of the Year 2017, only losing to, well, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. At the end of the day, delaying a game may feel bad in the short run. You might have to spend more money on development, and fans might get impatient. But delaying is a good thing. If a game is not ready, you shouldn't force it out. Quality over quantity.